Hey everyone, this is Mark Bates, and today we're going to be talking about visceral fat. Now, visceral fat, it's the most dangerous fat in your body. It isn't what you can pinch, right? It's what surrounds your vital organs. Visceral fat wraps around your liver, pancreas, and intestines, silently triggering inflammation and metabolic dysfunction. Unlike subcutaneous fat that sits beneath your skin, visceral fat actively releases hormones and inflammatory molecules that disrupt your entire body's functioning. Insidious because it operates beneath the surface. You can appear relatively slim yet carry dangerous levels of visceral fat, a condition researchers call TOFI, thin on the outside, fat on the inside. The good news is that visceral fat responds remarkably well to specific interventions, and contrary to popular belief, eliminating it doesn't require months of grueling effort. When insulin levels remain chronically elevated, your body receives constant signals to store fat. Insulin is the only hormone in your body that directly signals fat storage. While other hormones may influence the process, insulin alone is the primary driver of visceral fat accumulation. The first step in any effective visceral fat reduction plan must address insulin levels. Without controlling insulin, right? Research constantly shows that first one, strategic carbohydrate reduction. Yes, this is the ketogenic diet, folks. Carbohydrates trigger the most significant insulin response of the three macronutrients: carbohydrates, proteins, and fats. This basic physiological fact explains why carbohydrate restriction forms the foundation of effective visceral fat reduction. Many supposedly healthy foods trigger substantial insulin responses. A single acai bowl from a popular chain contains approximately 99 grams of sugar, equivalent to 20 teaspoons. Even heart-healthy oatmeal delivers 52 grams of sugar in 2 servings. For optimal visceral fat reduction, total carbohydrate intake should remain under 20 grams a day. This threshold creates a metabolic switch that foods to eliminate include all grains, including whole grains, oats, quinoa, rice, things like that. Potatoes, sweet potatoes, and other starchy legumes, beans, lentils, chickpeas, all this stuff is just heavy in carbohydrates. Replace these with fat-burning, insulin-friendly alternatives. Eggs with the yolks. Yolks are more important. Red meat, beef and lamb. Wild-caught fatty fish. Poultry, healthy fats, beef and lamb tallow, butter, ghee. All these help reduce your insulin response and give you the energy you need. Second step, optimize your protein. While carbohydrate restriction forms the foundation, protein optimization accelerates visceral fat loss. Research shows that the higher protein intake, 1.3 grams a kilogram a day, produces significantly greater visceral fat reduction than standard protein intake, 0.8 grams per kilogram per day. With a remarkable difference of 17.3 centimeters squared in visceral fat area, protein delivers multiple benefits for visceral fat reductions. This applies to men primarily. Women also need to increase their protein, but they may need to keep their fat intake up a little bit, especially if you're still thermogenic effect. Did you realize that your body burns 20 to 30% of your protein's caloric or energy process during digestion and assimilation? Far more than the 5 to 10% for carbohydrates and the 0 to 3% for fats. So even though you may think you're eating more carbs, more calories, and we understand that it takes more for your body to break down proteins. But having a lot of protein activates your satiety hormones and suppresses hunger, so you have appetite regulation. And this signals naturally reducing caloric intake without constant willpower. You don't get hungry when you eat more protein. Helps preserve muscle. During fat loss, adequate protein prevents muscle breakdown, maintaining metabolic rate and insulin sensitivity. For optimal results, once again, consume zero point 0.7 to 1 gram of protein per pound of target body weight. If your goal weight is 150 pounds, aim for 105 to 150 grams of protein spread across your meals. Get plenty of protein. Next one, high intensity training interval. HIIT. This is one of the most effective exercise protocols for visceral fat reduction. This may be a more advanced type of training, so you may not be ready for this. This training approach alternates between brief, intense exertion and recovery periods, creating a robust metabolic response targeting visceral fat stores. The science behind HIIT's effectiveness lies in its hormonal impact. During high-intensity bursts, your body releases human growth hormone and other fat-burning compounds that allow your metabolism to more efficiently utilize stored fat for energy. The optimal HIIT protocol for visceral fat reduction requires just minutes, not hours. Example, sprint at maximum effort for 20 seconds and rest completely for 90 seconds. Right? Repeat this 3 or 4 times for 3 total rounds. Right? Perform this sequence 3 times a week. Doesn't take a lot of time, but you might need to be a little bit more healthy and athletically inclined to do this. But if you can do HIIT training, add that. Okay? This approach takes 5 to 7 minutes per session, yet it delivers remarkable results. The key lies not in duration. This is not cardio training. This is going after hormones that come from HIIT training, right? It's the intensity, right? HIIT creates an afterburn effect where your metabolism remains elevated for hours after completion. This phenomenon, technically called EPOC, excess post-exercise oxygen consumption, continues burning calories even at rest. Remember, that 20 seconds where you're sprinting at maximum effort, you're going to be breathing hard, and that's exactly what you want. Fourth one, and everyone should be able to do this. But once again, if you're not very athletically inclined, if you're still healing, you might need to take this down a little bit. You want that hormonal stimulus from HIIT training, but you also want a daily walking regime, which is your cardio, right? And this is easy cardio. You're looking for 7,000 to 10,000 steps, if at all possible. If you need to, get down to 4,000 as a starting point. That's once around the block. It's not that hard for most people. And you don't need to exercise to the point you're out of breath. This is just you want to breathe comfortably. Emphasize post-meal walks. That helps with your digestion and keeps you from absorbing a lot of excess energy. When you eat, blood glucose rises, right? Triggering insulin release. Walking immediately after meals can significantly blunt this glucose spike. Research shows that a 30-minute walk after eating improves glycemic response, regardless of meal composition. This simple habit reduces insulin production and accelerates the transition to fat-burning mode. Break your walking into multiple sessions throughout the day rather than a single long walk for maximum benefit. 3 to 4 walking sessions of 2,500 to 3,000 steps each produce superior metabolic benefits compared to one extended session. Right? Remember, and you're looking to walk after each time you eat. Okay, intermittent fasting. Intermittent fasting provides the metabolic framework that amplifies all other visceral fat reduction strategies. By creating extended periods without food intake, intermittent fasting allows insulin levels to drop significantly, enabling fat-burning hormones to function optimally. The most effective approach for visceral fat reduction is the 18-6 schedule, 18 hours of fasting with a 6-hour eating window. This typically means consuming all meals between, let's say, 12 p.m. and 6 p.m., then fasting from 6 p.m. until noon the following day. During fasting, insulin levels decrease steadily, creating an increasingly favorable environment for fat burning. Growth hormone rises to preserve muscle mass and to mobilize fat stores. The benefits extend far beyond fat loss to include enhanced cellular cleanup, autophagy, right? Improved insulin sensitivity, reduced inflammation, optimized hormone production, and increased metabolic flexibility. Contrary to common misconceptions, intermittent fasting that will not slow down your metabolism. Research shows that hormonal optimization increases with your metabolic rate. You can optionally have your 6-hour eating window in the morning, which is what I prefer, right? So you get your intake in the morning, let's say from 8 a.m. for 6 hours, and then you fast, which would be basically from noon all the way to the next morning. Either way works. Okay? Measuring your progress. I want you to avoid getting on the scale. The scale is one metric, but it's not the most opportune one for you, because if we're looking for visceral fat, as you lose the visceral fat, you may not actually lose what appears to be weight. But what you're going to be doing is replacing that visceral fat, especially with the HIIT training, with muscles. So what you're looking to do, once again, is, if possible, try to get your fasting insulin levels. Now, this is a blood test, so you're not going to get this every day, and there might be a cost for this. But getting them once at the beginning of this cycle and once at the end can be helpful. If you're really serious about this, there are imaging technologies, MRI and DEXA scans. But probably the easiest is to get your waist circumference, right? Just get the measuring tape and measure your waist. For men, you want your waist to be under 40 inches. For women, under 35. The most telling indicator comes not from your weight or your waist circumference or that. It comes from how you're feeling, how your clothes are fitting, what your energy levels are. As visceral fat decreases, you'll likely notice improved energy, better sleep, and reduced inflammation. Now, one thing you can do if you have one, or if you buy one, is one of those electronic scales that measures your body fat and gives you readings of how much visceral fat you have. They're not 100% accurate, but they're close enough. Once again, you can use that as a guide over the 14 days to 28 days you might be doing this. Your 14-day plan. First 3 days, I want you to focus on carbohydrate reduction and protein optimization. If you're not already eating a ketogenic type of diet, get on it. Get rid of all the extra carbohydrates. On day 4 to 7, start adding in intermittent fasting. You might go with a 12 and 12 program before you go to an 18 and 6. Ease into it. Take a couple days. And on days 8 to 14, add HIIT sessions at least 3 times a week, along with your walk. This will help. This may not completely eliminate your visceral fat or reduce it significantly the first time, but this is something you could do every 2 months. Do a 14-day visceral fat HIIT, right? Once you get used to the HIIT training, a lot of people really like that. So just keep that in mind. Beyond the 14-day mark, while 14 days gives you enough time to get started on your visceral fat reduction, the strategies outlined here will work equally well for long-term metabolic health. In fact, they work very well for that. Many people find these approaches sustainable indefinitely, with occasional modifications for special occasions or changing circumstances. The actual value lies in short-term fat loss and the metabolic reprogramming that occurs. As insulin sensitivity improves and hormonal balance is restored, your body becomes increasingly more efficient at maintaining healthy visceral fat levels. The metabolic flexibility, the ability to burn either fat or glucose for fuel as needed, represents the ultimate goal. It allows your body to maintain optimal function regardless of temporary dietary changes or activity fluctuations. The path to eliminating visceral fat leads directly to improved overall health. By implementing these evidence-based strategies, you address the symptom, excess fat, and the underlying metabolic dysfunction that created it. Your body knows exactly how to thrive. These interventions remove the obstacles preventing it from doing so. So unlock the hidden truth about visceral fat, your path to a healthier future. By implementing the things we've talked about, you can reduce your visceral fat. Okay, but weight is not necessarily the only key here. What you want to do is get your body metabolically healthy. It will take care of the weight with that. If you have any questions, leave me a message. We'll answer you. Thanks a lot for listening.